I recently rewatched the first Thor movie and it was a lot funnier than I remembered, but as all good Marvel movies, it didn't just feature the humor, it also touched on some very serious topics. So here are my top 5 scenes out of the movie Thor that really moved me personally emotionally.
You're unworthy of your title! You're unworthy
Oh, you're unworthy.
of the loved ones you have betrayed.
Having your father say that to you, yikes.
I own it, all, father! Cut you off!
Ooh. What a powerful scene between father and son. Like, powerful emotionally, but kind of sad, bittersweet almost looking back. And yeah, the scene happens right after we get introduced to all the bad character traits of Thor. Like, we see that he's greedy, aggressive, only cares about himself, he's arrogant, and what other awful traits he has. And despite all those negative traits, like, yeah, Odin was right. He's not worthy, at least not in the current state that he's in that moment. But still, it's harsh. Like, imagining to hear your father say that to you, you are unworthy. And he didn't just say, like, you're unworthy to wield Mjolnir, you're not just unworthy of that power, but you're unworthy of the loved ones, you're unworthy of these realms. Like, man, he really put it all out there. And the thing that moved me so much about that scene is, like, it's one of those great scenes, and it kind of dives into the same aspect I talked about in my Iron Man 2 video. Like, Tony Stark also has a complex relationship with his father, but the reason this moved me so much is this is something that his father is doing to his son, which is like, it must also be really painful for a father to do that. But he's doing this act of casting out his son, which, like, on the surface seems like a terrible thing to do, but in hindsight, we now know that he's doing this not because he wants to be mean, not because he wishes terrible things for his son, but because he realized in that moment that this is exactly what Thor needs to become the Thor that he should always be, should have always been. So yeah, I really love the dynamics in that scene. Yeah, really bittersweet moment in the Thor movie.
Let me explain to Father.
Father is dead.
Ah, no, why, Loki?
Your banishment. The threat of a new war.
Oh, that's mean. That's messed up, Loki.
Can I come up?
Aw,
The truce with Jotunheim.
so humbly asking.
Yes, but couldn't we find a way?
And Mother has forbidden.
Your mother has forbidden your return? Oh my god. Thor just couldn't catch a break in this movie. Like, we just had that tough father-son moment, and now also his mother. Like, I touched on that in my reaction video a couple times, that I thought Thor was at his low point, but then it just kept getting lower. And this was like his actual low point when they even brought his mother into it. And also, of course, thinking that his father died. Like, I don't know if you know that feeling, but when your father has like a tough love moment or whatever the case may be, does something that like makes you upset, but there's always like your mother, and it's always like, oh no, your father maybe did something rude, but your mother always loves you. And then being told, like, from Thor's position, that your mother won't allow your return, like, man, I think that just really gave him his final blow. And of course, it moved me a bit extra because the Thor-mother relationship doesn't really get developed in the first Thor movie, but now revisiting this movie, and now knowing how much Thor loves his mother, like, we get more about it in the second Thor movie and the Endgame movie, of course, Avengers Endgame. And yeah, knowing how much he cared about his mother, and then like having Loki say that to him. Yeah, right. I didn't even touch on that. Like, having Loki, your brother, say those things to you, that also doesn't help. And then, of course, that they turn out to be a lie is a whole nother story. But then, like, besides this really tough emotional moment that really makes you empathize, or made me at least empathize for Thor, what then really gives it an amazing ending to that scene is Thor not being angry, not getting aggressive, but saying to Loki, no, I'm sorry. Like, I really love that. And it's like the first indicator of his character growth, and that he will someday be the Thor that he should have always been.
It was all I could get back I'm sorry, it's not as much as I promised.
No,
Oh, it's so nice to see Thor getting nicer, doing something kind, not for himself.
Your ancestors called it magic, and you call it science.
Oh, wow, I'm getting goosebumps from that. Why? Why does that line give me goosebumps? When I rewatched this scene recently, I only noticed that it moved me, but I wasn't really sure why. Like, at first glance, it doesn't seem like a special scene, right? Like, sure, it's a heartwarming moment between Jane and Thor, and they have like a nice evening together. But that's not the reason why it moved me. What moved me was just that sentence of, your ancestors called it magic and you call it science. Well, I come from a place where they're both the same thing. Like, that just triggered something in me, which I think only happened because I'm now revisiting the MCU, and this sentence like comes up again and again throughout the MCU. And I think it summarizes a very important aspect of the MCU quite well, where it's like, within the MCU, these like we start at Earth, but then as things go along in phase 1, 2, and 3, it gets like more and more crazy with aliens. Like, Thor is basically the first alien that we meet in the MCU. And yeah, it continuously challenges that idea of what is magic, what is science, is magic just science that we don't understand yet? And yeah, when we get like aliens and also like people like Doctor Strange and what other kinds of crazy powers. So yeah, that kind of just triggers that whole sentiment of the MCU, where you have to like widen your view of what is science and what is magic, and is there really a difference? So yeah, I really like the message behind that.
This drink, I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another! I mean, who said that a funny scene couldn't also move me emotionally? Because it definitely did. And it's, I think, because I also connect the Marvel movies with like my friendships out of the times back then, like school times. These movies came out when I was still in school, and it was like a tradition in my friends group that we went into cinema together to watch the latest Marvel movie. And yeah, because of that, we also had like a similar humor and also all really liked the Marvel movies. And this is just one of those scenes that I'm still friends with many of these nowadays. And this scene, or this quote of another, is just something that we joke about to this day when we're drinking together. So yeah, I'll never forget that scene, and it's so nice to like revisit its origin.
I have much to learn.
Yes. Glad you learned that.
Someday, perhaps, I shall make you proud.
That's all a son wants to do, right? Make his father proud.
You've already made me proud.
Ah, yeah. And that's all a son wants to hear. So this scene is basically at the very ending of the movie, when Thor has already undergone a lot of character growth. So that's one reason why I really like that scene, because we see like his change compared to the beginning of the movie, where he understands that he still has a lot to learn, and he also I like that he still appreciates his father, or even says that his father is a great father, despite like all the harsh or seemingly mean things he did to him by banishing him. And of course, where this scene really hits home is with the magic words of having Thor say, "Someday perhaps I shall make you proud," which is like, of course, a boy or a young man, that's what he wants to do. Like, don't we all want to do that at a young age? Like, we just want to make our father proud. And it's like I think it's a part of the journey, or at least a part of the healthy journey of a boy to a young man, and then someday like a grown man, where it's then not about making your father proud, but then making yourself proud, your family, I guess. But yeah, having Thor say that really touched me emotionally, because that's also what really I was very focused on over these last years, or maybe still am. It was definitely part of my journey from a boy to a young adult. And then of course, having Odin say to him, "You've already made me proud," which is like, really hits home for me, because that's all a young man, a boy, a son wants to hear, that he made his father proud. And yeah, I'm very happy that I got these words from my father, but I've also seen people where they also want their father to say that, and their father never says it to him. And it's like, it can be really rough, and it can be something that you kind of have to bear with or have to live with for the rest of your life. So yeah, I hope for all of you out there that your father also said that to you or will say it to you at some point. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why this scene really moved me emotionally a lot. And yeah, that brings me to the end of this video. That was the last scene. Of course, there were many other scenes, but I think those are like the 5 strongest. So let me know which scene moved you the most in the Thor movie. Was it one of my 5 scenes, or was it maybe a totally different scene? There's no right or wrong here, so it would be awesome to hear from you in the comments, and then I'll see you in the next one.